Welcome back. Today we are talking inflation fighting strategies for retirees. And to break that down for us, we're joined by Gabe Rockers with Edward Jones. Gabe, thanks for joining us today.
And thank you guys for having me and allowing me to sponsor this segment.
For sure, of course. It's important to talk about. Inflation is affecting everybody, but especially for retirees, it can get pretty hard. So that's why we're going to have some tips, some suggestions to maybe make it a little bit easier. So Gabe, as a retiree, what can we do to cope with the rising cost of living? What suggestions do you have for us today?
Yeah, so obviously inflation has been very top of mind for many of us over the last couple of years as we saw what was a very subdued rate of inflation for more than a decade suddenly take off and things got pretty high, and obviously that makes living each month that much more difficult. For those that are working, you hope that year in and year out you can receive a pay increase that can help keep you up with that rate of inflation. But for individuals who are retired, their circumstances are a little bit different. And so, yeah, today's focus is on those retirees that are fighting inflationary pressure and trying to just simply live their best lives in retirement. A handful of things people can do. First and foremost, as much as we want to get safer with our investment strategies as we shift into retirement, and that makes perfect sense, early retirees also need to keep some growth orientation in their portfolio. And what that means is, as much as we crave safety and more principal protection on our wealth and well-being, we still need to own things that can grow in value and can keep that value up with the rate of inflation, or ideally even ahead of that rate of inflation. So that would be object number one, or advice number one for those shifting into retirement. Another thing people can do is they could look into Treasury inflated protection securities, i.e. TIPS, or even I-bonds. Those are a couple different fixed income opportunities that do assess their value based upon what's going on with the consumer price index or with inflation. Third, and this one could be really valuable to individuals, delay taking Social Security. We can originally file, as it stands right now, at the age of 62. Full Social Security is somewhere between 66 and 67 for individuals today, and the max amount that you could receive gets capped at the age of 70. If people are looking to retire and they can afford to hold off on Social Security, that would be advisable. The longer you wait, the bigger that monthly benefit will be. And the more predictable monthly income you have, the easier it is to pay the bills each month. Fourth, we always want to maintain an effective emergency fund, but make sure you're not holding too much in cash. Cash investments serve a purpose. They're built for a rainy day or for emergent needs. But cash investments typically get beat by the rate of inflation. In other words, the real return tends to be negative in most years. So it's effective to hang on to that emergency fund, but you don't want to have too much. You don't want to have too little. You kind of just want to try to have the right amount.
Right.
And then last but not least, if you feel up to it, you like what you do, work a little longer. The longer you work, the more time you're going to have to throw money at your retirement, the more opportunity you're going to have to earn an income that maybe allows you to pay down some debts. And if you're still working, you must not be pulling money out of your retirement, so that's going to protect your retirement portfolio's value for that much longer. So those 5 things, or some variants of those 5 things, can really be helpful for people considering retirement, or those just getting into retirement and maybe they haven't made that choice on Social Security yet.
Definitely. That's a great point about the Social Security, if you can delay taking it, as well as the other suggestions with your portfolio. Trying to keep up with inflation or things that can grow with it or more than it would be great. So some great tips there to do a combination of those, or even a few of those, to try and ease it a little bit. Gabe, how can we get in contact to discuss this or other financial strategies?
So there are several Edward Jones advisors in the area. We're kind of located around town, where those that seek counsel and seek counsel close you can pop into an office, introduce yourself. We can gather a little bit of information and schedule a time to see you. Anybody can find us on the internet and pull us up that way as well.
Excellent. Well, sounds great. Gabe Rockers with Edward Jones. Gabe, thanks again for joining us and giving us some of these tips.
Yes, and we wish all the viewers a very happy and safe New Year.
Absolutely. You as well, Gabe.
Thank you.
And stay with us. We'll be right back after a break.